Good morning, everyone. Hope that you all are having a wonderful weekend. Hope that you all had a great, exciting spring break, um, and that you're focused and prepared and ready to go on this last half of the semester. And just want to say to everybody, we just need to finish strong, stay focused. Okay? This is my initial video for EDL 551, Student Development Theory for Dr. James DeVita. In this video, I'll be discussing Module 4, sharing some of my opinions and views about the readings, as well as some of my experiences. And that's going to be it. So without further ado, here we go. So Module 4 discusses about race, ethnicity, as well as white privilege. Basically, with higher education, race, when it comes to looking at identity, race is always at the forefront. First thing that a lot of people see or judge you on is the race, and then we go into gender and into sexual orientation, religion. All of that, is after. But race is always like the first thing, initial thing we see, because that's the most visible thing we see besides gender. So um, the two frameworks that I saw that kind of intertwine with each other is both intersectionality as well as critical race theory, because they both share um, similar roles when discussing race. And in higher ed, that's very again, that's a very critical issue. So with intersectionality, and all of this information as a disclaimer or reference will be found in the Jones and A's book, between chapter 6 and chapter 7, as my reference. When we're dealing with intersectionality, we're dealing with it places the lived experiences and struggles of people of color and other marginalized groups as a starting point for the development of theory. It produces new knowledge that highlights the voices of these previously excluded groups. Within higher education, it requires a rethinking of programs, policies, organizational structures, rituals, and routines from the perspective of students from racial marginalized groups, which can be found on page 144. And lastly, it placing students of color at the center of higher education, and student affairs shows the necessity of attention to explicit goals and values of student affairs, as well as to the common practices and struggles used for implementing those values among individuals. And lastly, with the intersectionality, it helps explains why people of color might see strong evidence of racism that occurs every day in society, where some white people might question the significance of race, which is going to be found on page 178. When we're dealing with, on the other hand, now it leads into critical race theory. When we're dealing with critical race theory, we're basically dealing with is exploring the experiences of underrepresented students, such as African Americans and Latino students. Um, when when it, the sorry when discussing critical race theory, it was placed in in fields of law and legal studies, and it was centered in the thinking of more broadly about race within legal cases, and questions the influence of race and racism within the educational systems. And within this, we see quite a few examples when we're dealing with education, more primary, on the lower level, and post in the secondary levels, within elementary schools and high schools, of segregation, Jim Crow laws, seeing that a lot of people basically, if you was not of white privilege, or you was not of the color white, you basically got little to no resources, because African Americans during the 40s, 50s, 60s, were seen as inferior, and that it needed no kind of help whatsoever. And of course, we saw the the coming of Brown versus Board. We saw the integration of schools during the towards the end of the 60s and going into the 70s. Busing became brand new, and then also now, so dealing with that level of education, and then going into the level to the collegiate level, you're seeing the formation of HBCUs, which is historically black colleges and universities, and then we also see another forefront of numerous opportunities for African American students to, or any other students to achieve quality education. So dealing with critical race theory, that point. One thing that kind of stuck out to me when looking at or talking about critical race theory is that from on page 171, and we talk about from the insert, why are all the black kids sitting together in the cafeteria. When you're dealing with critical race theories, she's Beverly Tanner Tatum states, she says, although black students' convenience is seen by the dominant group as self-segregation and exclusion of individuals from other groups, what is not acknowledged is that black students or other students from underrepresented groups sit together because this offers an opportunity to overcome the isolation and invisibility uh, that characterize much of their college experience. And basically, in a nutshell, that's what everything solidify when we're dealing with intersectionality and when we're dealing with critical race theory. Um, Again, with some of my experiences, I have seen race being used within education so much, it's it's crazy. I'm a product, and especially on this side of the state, excuse me, Eastern North Carolina, race. A lot of people don't want to look at it. Race and social economic status goes hand in hand on all levels, because we've allowed it to take it there. Um, I went to Title One schools. Title One schools, nice level of local low income families, but those low income families become Title One. We became Title One because of the race of being labeled and classified as being predominantly black. When your schools are 99% African American, you know that's of course that's the race issue, and it didn't take but an article in a newspaper a few years, my middle school years, which is in 2002, 2003, to really see a eye-opening thing about how has North Carolina has gone back to resegregation in schools. And to me, that's a huge thing. Um, and then going to a historically black college and university, Winston-Salem State University, you know, to me, there's, even though yes, it's granted it's labeled as an HBCU, but most people realizing now it's more diverse than any other school in the country, not on the same level as a PWI, but is, to me, getting more knowledge and more recognition. And with these characterizations, or I guess you could say this inclusiveness or isolation from everyone, you kind of got to see how far, or you question yourself, how far has we as a society has gone throughout the years. Granted, everyone says, well, we have the laws of the federal government. We have, we abolished their Jim Crow. We abolished the segregation of schools. We've abolished everything, that has separated us as a country, and we're more united as ever. To me, that's always not the case, because we basically have gone back. We have taken like 5 or 6 steps backwards, especially in certain areas of the country. That certain areas of the country still characterize, use race as that little, token, or that little marker In other words, in order to basically have control and power over the education system, certain schools have certain things because of the racial imbalance or sometimes imbalance of a lot of funding. And I feel like that's got to stop and got to end. I'm going to post a video um, within the module little short documentary that may look at your attention, may bring spark some issues and concerns. My apologies for this video being super long, but I'm very passionate about this topic. Thank you so much for listening to me. I hope that you all have a wonderful day. Again, let's stay focused, let's keep strong, stay strong, and do what we have to do for the semester. Talk to you soon. Bye.